There's a number so large that most Americans can't even comprehend it. A financial catastrophe hiding in plain sight. And by the end of this video, I'm going to reveal the one truth about this crisis that no economist, politician, or financial expert wants you to understand. Stay with me. Meet Sarah. She's 34, works as a nurse in Cleveland, Ohio. She makes $68,000 a year, which sounds decent, right? But Sarah has $47,000 in student loans, $12,000 in credit card debt, and she's been trying to save for a down payment on a house for 3 years. Last month, she had $2,300 in her savings account. This month, $1,850. She's going backwards. Sarah isn't lazy. She isn't financially irresponsible. She represents something much bigger, something that's about to reshape the entire American economy. Welcome to the story of America's $400 trillion problem. And before you click away thinking this is just another doom and gloom economic video, understand this. What I'm about to show you affects every single aspect of your life. This is the economic reality no one in power wants to address. If you're finding value in this deep dive, hit that like button. It genuinely helps us reach more people who need to understand what's really happening to the American economy. Let's start with what the Federal Reserve doesn't want you to focus on. According to their own data from Q2 2024, total household debt in America reached $17.8 trillion. That's credit cards, student loans, auto loans, and mortgages combined. But here's where it gets terrifying. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that median household income in 2024 was approximately $78,000. Sounds reasonable until you realize that median rent for a two-bedroom apartment hit $1,950 per month in major metro areas. That's $2,300 annually before utilities, before groceries, before healthcare, but household debt is just the beginning. Add in corporate debt, $13.7 trillion, according to the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, then government debt, $34.5 trillion as of late 2024 per the U.S. Treasury Department. We're already past $66 trillion, and we haven't even gotten to the really scary part yet. The $400 trillion figure, that's when you add unfunded liabilities. These are promises the government has made but hasn't set aside money to fulfill. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, government pensions. According to projections from the Congressional Budget Office, these unfunded obligations range from $150 trillion to over $200 trillion. Think about that. Money promised but not saved. Benefits guaranteed but not funded. It's like writing checks with an empty bank account and hoping nobody notices. To understand this crisis, we need to go back. In 1971, President Nixon ended the gold standard. Money was no longer tied to anything tangible. This allowed unprecedented expansion of credit and debt. The Census Bureau data shows that in 1980, the median home price was $64,600, about 3.5 times the median household income of $18,000. By 2024, median home prices hit $417,000, while median income only reached $78,000. That's 5.3 times income. Housing became an investment vehicle instead of simply shelter. Student loans exploded. In 2000, outstanding student debt was $260 billion. By 2024, $1.77 trillion, according to Federal Reserve data. An entire generation took on massive debt for education they were told was essential, only to enter job markets where wages hadn't kept pace. If you're watching this and feeling overwhelmed, drop a comment below. What's your biggest financial pressure right now? Let's talk about it. Healthcare costs spiraled out of control. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services report that national health expenditure reached $4.5 trillion in 2023, 13,493 per person. Credit cards became the buffer between income and expenses. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York reported that credit card debt alone hit $1.14 trillion in Q3 2024, with average interest rates near 22%. Americans were literally borrowing at 22% interest just to afford groceries and gas. Let's get specific with real numbers. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American household spent $72,167 in 2023 on basic expenses, housing and utilities, $24,298. Food, $9,243. Transportation, $12,295. Healthcare, $5,850. Now remember, median household income is $78,000. After taxes, that's roughly $62,000 take-home pay. Expenses of $73,000. The math doesn't work. So how do Americans make up the difference? Debt. The FDIC reports that nearly 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing or selling something. This is why Sarah, our nurse from Cleveland, is going backwards. It's not a personal failing. It's a systemic problem affecting the majority of working Americans. The Federal Reserve's own data shows that the bottom 50% of Americans by wealth hold just 2.5% of total household wealth. The top 1%, they hold 30.5%. Here's where the $400 trillion problem becomes a generational time bomb. Baby boomers are now between 60 and 78 years old. According to the Social Security Administration, approximately 10,000 baby boomers reach retirement age every single day. This will continue until 2030. Each one expects Social Security benefits averaging $1,107 per month. But here's the crisis. Social Security's trust fund is projected to be depleted by 2034. At that point, incoming payroll taxes will only cover about 77% of promised benefits. Millennials and Gen Z workers are paying into a system that mathematically cannot deliver what it promises. In 1945, there were 41.9 workers paying into Social Security for every beneficiary. Today, it's 2.8 to 1. By 2040, it's projected to be 2.3 to 1. Subscribe to the channel if you want more deep dives into economic realities that affect your future. Meanwhile, younger generations face unprecedented challenges. Census Bureau data shows that in 1980, 45% of 25-year-olds owned homes. By 2024, that number dropped to 28%. The National Association of Realtors reports that the median age of first-time home buyers reached 36 in 2024, the highest in recorded history. Now, let's connect these pieces. When young people can't afford homes, they rent longer. This drives up rent prices, up 30.4% nationally between 2020 and 2024. Higher rents mean less savings. Less savings means delayed family formation. Birth rates have fallen to 1.64 children per woman, well below the 2.1 replacement rate needed to maintain population. Lower birth rates mean fewer future workers to support retirees. This accelerates the Social Security crisis, creating a feedback loop. Consumer spending becomes constrained when households are buried in debt. The Federal Reserve tries to manage this through interest rate policy, but they're trapped. Raise rates too much, and the government's interest payments on $34.5 trillion in debt become unsustainable. The Treasury Department reported that interest payments on federal debt exceeded $1 trillion annually in 2024. Keep rates too low, and inflation erodes purchasing power. Both political parties avoid this $400 trillion conversation because addressing it requires unpopular solutions. Cut Social Security benefits, political suicide, raise payroll taxes, devastating to younger workers already struggling. The Congressional Budget Office projects that by 2050, federal spending on major healthcare programs and Social Security will consume 12.7% of GDP to fund current promises. Payroll taxes would need to increase by approximately 4.5 percentage points immediately. For someone making $60,000, that's an additional $2,700 per year. Let's look at realistic projections. The Congressional Budget Office projects that by 2034, when Social Security's trust fund depletes, benefits would be automatically cut by 23% unless Congress acts. For someone expecting $2,000 monthly, that becomes $540. Medicare's Hospital Insurance Trust Fund is projected to deplete by 2031. After that, Medicare can only pay 89% of hospital costs. Federal debt held by the public will reach 156% of GDP by 2050. At some point, global investors lose confidence in U.S. Treasury bonds. Interest rates spike. Essential services get cut, or the Federal Reserve inflates the currency, print money to pay obligations. The result? Inflation that makes the 2021-2024 period look tame. Your savings lose value. What do you think is the most likely outcome? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Here's what frustrates me most. This crisis isn't hidden. The data is public. But mainstream media largely ignores it because it's complex and depressing. Politicians avoid it because fixing it requires sacrifice. Financial institutions benefit from the current system. More debt means more interest, payments flowing to banks. Younger generations are overwhelmed just trying to survive financially. So the $400 trillion problem grows silently year after year. Now, we're approaching that crucial insight I promised. The $400 trillion isn't the problem, it's the symptom. The real problem is that modern American capitalism has evolved into a system that requires perpetual debt expansion to function. Without continuously increasing debt, the economy contracts. Consider this. Since 1975, total U.S. debt has grown an average of 7.1% annually, while GDP has grown only 2.5% annually. We've been borrowing from the future to pay for today's consumption. The Federal Reserve System is built on debt creation. When you take out a mortgage, the bank creates that money through the loan itself, and this system works during expansion. But it has a mathematical endpoint. You cannot expand debt forever at rates faster than the real economy grows. Eventually, debt service consumes all available income. We're approaching that point. I won't lie to you, there's no painless solution, but understanding the problem is the first step. Here's what realistic paths forward might look like. First, gradual benefit adjustments. Raising the Social Security retirement age to 70 gradually could close 60–70% of the funding gap. Second, revenue increases. Tax revenues would need to increase by 2–3% of GDP. That means higher taxes on everyone. Third, productivity increases through technology, and AI could help economic output grow faster than debt. Fourth, immigration reform increases the worker-to-retiree ratio. But all of these are politically difficult. They require sacrifice from current generations for the benefit of future generations. On a personal level, understanding this crisis changes how you prepare. First, assume benefits will be lower than promised. If you're under 50, plan as though Social Security will provide 25–30% less. Build additional retirement savings aggressively. Second, prioritize high-interest debt elimination. Third, invest in skills that remain valuable during economic transitions. Fourth, build community resilience. If you've made it this far, hit that subscribe button. Let me deliver on that promise from the beginning. The $400 trillion crisis exists because of one simple truth. We've been voting for politicians who promise us benefits without asking us to pay for them. Every generation has done this. Baby boomers voted for expanded benefits without demanding higher taxes. Gen X voted for tax cuts while maintaining benefit levels. Millennials want student loan forgiveness without addressing existing obligations. The uncomfortable truth is this: we're all complicit. We reward politicians who tell us we can have everything. We punish politicians who tell us hard truths. The $400 trillion isn't a problem created by them. It's a problem created by us, by our collective choices, by our refusal to accept trade-offs. Until we face that truth, the crisis will continue growing. Sarah isn't failing because she's irresponsible. She's failing because the system is designed to extract more from her than it returns. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed to benefit those who already or who have wealth while extracting from those who don't. But the system exists because we tolerate it. We vote for it. The $400 trillion problem can't be solved by any politician or policy. It can only be solved by a fundamental shift in how Americans think about shared responsibility and intergenerational obligation. That's the truth no one wants to tell you. The question isn't whether America can solve a $400 trillion crisis. The question is whether Americans are willing to make the choices required to solve it. I believe we can, but first, we have to stop believing in easy answers. Share this video because this conversation needs to happen. Leave a comment telling me what you think the path forward should be. The $400 trillion problem is real. The crisis is coming. The only question is whether we face it honestly or keep pretending until the choice is made for us. The future isn't written yet, but it's being decided right now by the choices we make today. Choose wisely,